So one of the first things you may want to look at when it comes to increasing the performance of the game, as no two people have the exact same hardware, is watching to see if you get a warning that there could potentially be issues with your graphics card driver. I chose to try both of them, and I couldn't really tell too much of a difference. I just chose to stick with the default one. I do not have the hot fix from them that you can click yes to download. I chose to select no. So that's one thing you may want to play with, because some people are reporting better performance, and I know two people personally that actually are getting slightly worse performance with the hotfix, which is ironic because it's supposed to do the opposite in helping. But again, no two people have the exact same hardware. Computers are very dynamic that way, right? So that's definitely something to look into. Actually, while this is loading up, I was going to pause it. I want to share something else with you that can astronomically help with the frames. I have an Alienware Dell monitor. Good for me. And I use a program called Dell Peripheral Device Manager or some shit like that. I forget exactly what it's called, to be perfectly honest with you. And I could play World of Warcraft, American Truck Simulator, no problem. But it was starting to bog down my computer a little bit sometimes. It's like, well, whatever. And then when I would play this game, excuse me, it would stutter every 5 seconds. I couldn't even play the game. Sorry, I had a tickle in my throat there. I couldn't even play the game, and I would be able to tell before even going into the game, because from the menu here, if you look at the top, shows you 59, supposed to be 60. But this game predominantly shows 59, whatever. And that's how you're going to be able to tell. And I was stuttering really bad, so I had to completely uninstall the Dell Peripheral Manager, the one that essentially makes it so I can hotkey something on my keyboard, and I can switch between my computer and my PlayStation or my Nintendo without physically having to touch the joystick underneath the monitor. So these are just all things that can really impact your gameplay experience. When it comes to the actual settings of the game, I'll show you that quickly. You know, display, frame cap. You may want to cap your frames, right? That tends to be something that can be very good. I definitely don't like doing uncapped. If you do, then go ahead. VSync seems to be a controversial issue. I've been gaming since day one computer games have existed, and day one since VSync was a thing. I personally prefer VSync because I don't get screen tearing. I've never noticed that I get that much input lag. Go ahead and play with it. It's as simple as that. Go ahead. There's no right or wrong answer, honestly, when it comes to that. When it comes to graphics, full screen, right? You can do windowed full screen or windowed, which is a very rare thing nowadays, because oftentimes you'll see windowed full screen and then just windowed. So the fact that we could do exclusive full screen, in my humble opinion, in my experience, that tends to be the better choice, because system resources, the way it gets allocated, it just, the games perform better. I've never had a game perform better in any other scenario. Pick your resolution. Now your upscaling quality, that's going to depend on your hardware. That's not really like game-breaking stuff. The upscaling method, I've tried the DLSS and it works, but because I'm trying to give my computer a little extra breathing room, even though I really don't need to, because I have a capable enough computer, basically in order of least intense on your computer to the most intense, as far as I know. So I chose to do TAA. Again, you could play around with that. Frame generation method, I turn that shit off. I cannot have that on any computer game whatsoever. Absolutely just destroys my frames, and it stutters, and it's just gross. So this was the single best thing for me to do. Again, these things, you could play around with them. That'll disable these three things here. NVIDIA Reflex, again, any extra gimmicks, and they're usually pretty good. That's why people use them. I can't use any of these gimmicks. I can never use any gimmicks on anything, and I don't need them because my games look good enough. Same thing with this here. When you go through all the different settings, you can kind of get an idea. Even from low to ultra, you could see the difference. And then between like high and ultra, that difference is not quite as drastic. And if you're like, well, whatever, well, then turn it down. Give your computer a little bit more breathing room, perhaps, than it needs when it comes to some of that stuff. These I didn't touch. And then everything else is pretty much ultra. Post-processing, I don't need ultra post-processing. That can actually sometimes, from high to ultra, can make a difference, especially in performance when you're doing it across multiple different settings. So keep that in mind. But when it comes to like the effects quality, the texture, the foliage, draw distance, and all that, sure, I'll put that on ultra, right? And essentially, those are the things that, for me, have made a monumental difference in going from the game being completely broken and unplayable for me to fully playable. And I'm really, really enjoying myself a lot more than I thought I would. Maybe partially part of that is because I got the game for free from Funcom. Maybe that's why. So my expectations might be lower. But no, honestly, had I paid this out of my own money, I would have been fine with it. Yes, it drops here and there. Don't look at the 59 to 60. That one, I told you, is a bit of a conundrum. It's a little bit weird, but you don't feel it. Sometimes it'll drop down to like 55 momentarily for a split second, and the jitter, whatever you want to call it, the stutter, is really not that bad. It happens relatively infrequent. And like I said, for early access, this game is very, very playable. It's very acceptable. Should it be a little bit more polished? Absolutely. Should be a little bit tighter. But I'm not going to completely complain, because compared to the other shit that we've been getting as of late, this is a breath of fresh air. In a hot, dry desert. Is it humid? It depends where you are in the desert. Anyhow, so that's it for this video. There was no gameplay here. Thumbs up if you liked the video. It does greatly help support the channel. Thumbs down if you didn't like it, and I'll bend it in half, twist it. When you wake up in the morning, your face is going to look like that forever. Or maybe you'll be eaten by the sandworm in the middle of the night. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, naturally, that'd be great. But if not, thanks for stopping by anyways. Take care, and if I'm lucky, maybe I'll see some of you in the next one. Bye for now.